What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the 5th studio album by melodic hardcore and pop punk band 4 Year Strong. This is a self-titled album. Now this band is relatively new to me, I suppose. I got into them originally with one of their covers off of the Punk Goes Pop series, and I thought it was a solid cover, and it merited more listens, and then slowly I checked out a few songs here and there, but never actually got around to a full-length record. Now I have looked into like critical and fan reception on some of their past records, and apparently the last one that came out in 2011 wasn't exactly warmly received as a whole. A lot of people did warm up to it over time, I suppose, but I'm gonna have to dig back through their discography after listening to this new self-titled record because there is a lot to like about it. Now, while that cover was solid enough that I heard from them, it didn't exactly have me foaming at the mouth to hear more material, and unfortunately, like I said, I never got around to any full-length records, so I went into this self-titled album with just no expectations whatsoever. It took 4 years in between albums, which is quite a long time if you ask me, honestly, for bands from the melodic hardcore and pop punk scene. And I know what you're thinking before you interject with those comments. No, it doesn't sound just like A Day to Remember. I know that's what my mind kind of drifts to. I'm probably guilty of it as well. But if you have never listened to this band, to sum it up, Jeremy McKinnon of A Day to Remember and Alan Day of this band 4 Year Strong have night and day different voices in my opinion. Now sometimes there are eerily similar qualities between them and other groups, but I don't think I would necessarily draw the A Day to Remember comparison. 4 Year Strong rely on really strong lead guitars, catchy but ferocious choruses, and a feeling of genuine angst that really just bleeds into the majority of their music. They certainly aren't reinventing the wheel or really even themselves here on this new album, but it seems like they're embracing their roots, returning to a sound that seems familiar to them based on the few tracks that I have heard from them in the past, but without a boring retread, just rehashing the same material and throwing a new name on it. I feel like a lot of people seem to get caught up in wanting something that's new and it's just never been explored and never been tried before, but can't accept that sometimes you don't have to concoct some sort of totally new style in order for something to feel fresh. 4 Year Strong packs a solid punch as an album, bursting through at the seams right off the bat with that first track, I Hold Myself in Contempt. First time I hit that play button, like I said, no expectations. I had no idea. I was just going to throw it on in the background and just kind of give it a casual listen. I was not expecting the thrilling package of riffs, melodies, and the entertainment factor, and that was all just on the first song. Contempt is impossible for me to turn down. It just commands my attention through and through, and it's easily a top favorite for me here on the album. I mentioned loving the guitar work here on this record, and while it is kind of hard for me to track down my overall favorite moments, I would have to say some really big standouts here for me, where I'm a big, bright, shining star, and wipe yourself off, man, you dead. Those two in particular really struck me as something killer. Star in particular has this really memorable guitar pattern, probably one of the most memorable I've heard this year so far. In fact, it's kind of running through my head right now, and that makes me want to go give it a listen. I'll be right back. In all seriousness, this is a really well-crafted song. It feels kind of like the leader of a pack of summer jams, just high and good vibes and low and over-the-top frills. If you haven't noticed by now, this band seems to love pop culture references, not just modern ones, but ones from back in the day as well. It's all over the place. Just look at some of the titles on these songs. I mean, you're gonna have to do some Googling because I didn't even catch them all myself. But for titles of these songs, we have Here's to Swimming with Bow-Legged Women, I'm a Big Bright Shining Star, We All Float Down Here, Gravity, which is obviously a nod to the Sandra Bullock and George Clooney flick. It wouldn't just be another rock band throwing Gravity out there for the title of the song. God knows we don't have many of those. We All Float Down Here does a great job of continuing the energy that the first track on the album really presented to us. The vocals here are pretty raw, and the instrumental actually just kind of leans towards the punk side of their sounds. The drums kind of range from more melodic to just frantic, and the guitar patterns really get in your face, and a little bit more tenacity is thrown in there for added texture. I don't really care that much for the breakdown part of this track, where Alan Day is singing tick tock, it's ticking away, the whole thing that he's doing there, but I guess it's pretty easy to overlook for as much fun as the majority of this track actually is. Bow-Legged Women is actually another one of my top favorites here on the record. It centers around kind of being true to yourself, and I know know, gasp, who would have ever thought that a song in one of these genres would have been about that, but it does have a certain fire kind of lit underneath it, and it checks in with this aggressive guitar and drum combination, and some of my favorite vocals from Alan Day really on the entire record. I know it's easy in general just to complain about lyrics being stale or being cliche, and I've definitely criticized the songwriting of other bands in similar genres, really just any genre honestly, but the fact is, if your musicality is not there and you're playing just the same old bland bullshit over and over again, what else do I have to focus on other than the lyrics? 4 Year Strong's lyrics are by no means half-assed, that's not what I'm getting at, but also, let's be honest, they're not the most original thing in the book. The music itself is where the kickstart really comes from, and while the words are fun enough to sing along with, it's the music that's a fucking blast. Not all of these tracks feel entirely fresh, but that doesn't mean that tracks like Eating My Words have nothing to offer us. The guitar setup does feel a bit standard there, but I really like the hook on the song. Who Cares gives off a strong Sum 41 vibe, eyeing Nothing on My Back from the 2001 album All Killer No Filler for inspiration, and that line from that song, I don't want to blur the line, I just want it to fade away, is really sticking with me. I wish I had more time to dive deeper into the musicality of this album, but I'm gonna leave you with this. 4 Year Strong have compiled a great collection of songs that you're gonna want to crank up the volume to and just really rock out to. Cuts like the slightly stale Gravity slow things down momentarily, but the creative energy is almost always there, all the way until the final note of Go Down in History. Do yourself a favor, give this album a listen loudly, because 4 Year Strong's self-titled album gets a very strong 4 out of 5 from me. So if you guys did hear this album, let me know your thoughts on 4 Year Strong's self-titled album, and of course hit the like button, maybe subscribe to the channel while you're at it, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. I'm in the process of moving. I won't say that I'm going to get to every single album, and I'm probably going to be doing some throwback reviews, but if there are any other albums that you have suggestions for me to review, let me know about them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.